We are live this afternoon. It's afternoon, evening, depending upon where you are. I am Lady Victoria of Victoria School of Etiquette, where we offer a solution to your etiquette dilemmas. And here on Tidbit Tuesday, we are sharing a bit of information that you may or may not be familiar with. If you are, that's great and wonderful. If you are not, perhaps you will learn something new and interesting this evening, and I hope that you do. I am your etiquette educator, again, coming to you live with some interesting food facts on this afternoon. In my description, I made put in some information about in there about Mikey. You all remember Mikey? Those of you that are old enough to remember Mikey from the 1970s. I think his commercial actually aired in 1972. Mikey was the little kid that was trying life cereal because his friends or his siblings didn't want to try a new cereal. And they said, "What's this stuff?" "Hey, some cereal is supposed to be good for you." So the guy pushes it over, the little boy pushes it over to his brother. He says, "I'm not going to try it." And then he pushes it further and said, "Hey, let's get Mikey. Yeah, let's get Mikey to try it. He'll eat it. He eats anything." So are you that person? Are you that person that would try new and interesting foods that you have not tried before? Listen, before I forget, I want you to tag a neighbor, tag a friend, and come on in. I'm broadcasting live across my various social media platforms on my regular page, my regular Facebook page, my fan page, and also on YouTube and Twitter. You will be able to pick this up. And let me go over to one of those pages, because if you are making comments in the comments section below, I want to be able to respond to you. But on some platforms, I cannot respond here on Restream. So if you are watching, those of you that are watching, please tag in and say hello and let me know where you are watching from. Let me know where you're watching from, because I would love to be able to interact with you on that platform. Again, if I am unable to, then I will do so at the end of this broadcast. Okay. So here we are again, Tidbit Tuesday. Information that you may or may not be aware of. I was very surprised to find out some of these food facts. One moment here. I'm having a little bit of. Don't you just hate it when your stream doesn't cooperate with you, or your internet doesn't cooperate with you like you had planned? And then you have to make these adjustments while you're live. You have to make these adjustments while you're live, which is what I'm doing right now. Making some adjustments here. So let's see if we can get this show started right here, right now. And it's not coming up like it should. So anyway, I guess we're just going to have to continue from where we are. So, interesting food facts that I found out about. I was very surprised to find out some of this information. And it's regular foods that we consume every day, but we don't think about. We don't think about what might be in the foods or other things that's going on with it that we are unaware of. Okay, so I'm live over here. Okay, so on my fan page, I cannot capture comments there, and I'm not showing up over there, but here I am on my regular page. So again, please like and share across your social media platforms. I would greatly appreciate that. Let me see if I can get comments going over here. Okay, there we go. So again, my apologies. So one of the first foods I want to cover is one of my faves. If you follow me regularly, then you know some of the foods that I like. Just the other day, I was talking about sushi. And for those of you that interacted on that, I just wanted to let you know that I did eat the sushi. I finished it up today, this afternoon, and it was absolutely delicious. So I will be going back over there again to try it. Okay, I will be going back over there again to try some more. So I'm going to start with popcorn. You know, popcorn is one of my favorite foods. I tell you about that all the time. I can eat it anytime. I can have it for lunch, dinner, snack, in between 2 a.m. in the morning, whatever. Now, popcorn, we know, of course, comes from corn, corn on the cob. But one of the things that I found out is that there is a type of popcorn that is called glass gem corn. And I've actually seen it before and I've actually had it before. I just didn't know that it was so exclusive. I did not know that it was so exclusive. So I apologize that I couldn't get the pictures for you. So I'm going to try and just show it to you here on my phone. And if you can see it, I don't know that you can actually see it. I don't think you can. I apologize. Google just would not let me, it wouldn't let me share, it wouldn't let me share the pictures. It would not. So I will figure out another way and I will post up some of the pictures when I can. But it's corn on the cob, it's multicolored, and the corn is very shiny looking, so much so until it looks like glass or it looks like gems. I mean, and it's actually very beautiful. Now, this corn is not meant for regular consumption. Good afternoon, evening. Thank you for joining the broadcast. This glass gem corn is not meant for regular consumption unless you are grinding it down to make cornmeal or polenta. You can pop it as regular popcorn, but of course, when it's popped, it does not come out multicolored. It comes out either white or yellow, and that's going to depend upon what type of corn that they used. What kind of corn, they planted, what color. So I just thought that was a very interesting fact. I love that information. One of the gentlemen that spent years selectively breeding this colorful corn, it was a way for him to reconnect with his heritage. It was actually started by an Indian tribe years ago, and the idea was almost lost until this farmer in Oklahoma discovered it and wanted to reconnect with his heritage. So he spent years rebreeding this corn selectively. And so you can purchase it in stores today. You can also purchase it off of Amazon. You don't have to eat it. Like I said, it looks like glass, so it can be decorative. So people might use them in the fall season. Sometimes you will see it put out in people's backyards or on their porches as they're decorating for the holiday season. And it's really very, very beautiful. And I'm going to find a way to be able to share these pictures about that. So that's the corn. Now, how many of you like fruit salad? Fruit salad. You might have some kind of green leaves in there, but you have a variety of fruit. You might also have like spinach in there. You might have kale as a base or a bed. And it's a variety of fruit that you put together and make a salad. And you can eat it as is, or of course you can have some type of salad dressing on there, like a vinaigrette or something like that as your salad dressing. But did you know that there are actually fruit salad trees? Fruit salad trees may have as many as 8 different types of fruits, sometimes vegetables, also growing on the same tree. I was delighted to discover this information. I've never heard about this or seen it before. But again, just like the corn, how you get a fruit salad tree, you graft the branches of the various trees. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining. And you graft them into the branch on the other tree. And, you take a tree. I really apologize that I cannot show you the pictures, but you take the tree and you graft all of those branches together. You cut a piece off and you attach it to the other tree. And here you will have a fruit tree that grows up with all of these various fruit together. There's citrus fruit trees, so you might have oranges, grapefruit, lemons, and limes all growing on the same tree. On the same tree. Now this happened, started in Australia. This started in Australia. And here it says you can grow up to 6 different types of fruit on one tree. But some of the other research that I saw said up to 8. They're very interesting to look at, and I will probably just share the link for those of you. I will share it in the description for those of you that want to go to this site and see them because I can't share the pictures. Another thing, German chocolate cake didn't originate in Germany. I love German chocolate cake. Good afternoon, evening. Thank you for joining the broadcast. I love German chocolate cake. I only have it maybe twice a year. I used to have it every holiday season, but I don't as much as I'm, cutting so many sweets out of my diet. But it didn't originate in Germany. You would have thought that it originated in Germany. Guess where it originated from? Mm. The guy who invented it was by this guy. The German chocolate was invented by a guy in Germany, but the cake itself was the recipe for it was actually written by a Texas homemaker. A Texas homemaker. It's just called German chocolate because the name of the guy, his name was Sam German. And it was just a baking chocolate, and you know that if you eat German chocolate cake, if it's a part of your holiday tradition. This one blew me away too. Hawaiian pizza. I like pizza. When I first heard about Hawaiian pizza, of course, I said, it's a tropical pizza. I don't want that. I don't think I want that. Hawaiian pizza was not invented in Hawaii. It has nothing to do with Hawaii whatsoever. But it was invented in Canada. It started in Canada, the history of Hawaiian pizza. So, despite its tropical name, Hawaiian pizza is actually a Canadian creation. The pineapple laden pie is the brainchild of a retired cook, Sam Panopoulos, who first served pineapple on pizza at the restaurant that he owned or worked at. It was called Satellite Restaurant in Chatham, Ontario. And it became very, very popular there. Sometimes they add bacon to it. They have other foods that you can add to it. But it originated in the mid 60s, 1960s. And at that time, he was, at the writing of this information, he was 82 years old. And he says the dish is still a novelty for Canadians today. Good afternoon, evening. Thank you for joining the broadcast. But sometimes they put mushrooms on it. They might put bacon on it or pepperoni, but they load the top of it with pineapple. And because of that, it became known as a Hawaiian pizza. And now it is traditionally a classic American style cheese pizza that we eat here in America, topped with ham and pineapple. But it began in Canada in the 1960s and is still very popular there today. That's another fun food fact. Another one is Spam. This one you might be more acquainted with. I remember eating Spam as a young girl growing up on the south side of Chicago. Spam, Spam. And it is just a mashup of the two words spice and ham. And that's how it got to become called Spam. And urban legend would say it is just a brainchild of spice and ham and not scientifically processed animal matter. I thought that was really cute, kind of, sort of. I don't eat Spam today. I remember as a young girl that it tasted like salt. It was very, very salty. It was full of sodium, and I'm sure some of that had to do with the preservatives. So the acronym for SPAM, the urban acronym, is scientifically processed animal matter. But it's just a mashup of spice and ham. Now, do you all like wasabi? For those of you that might eat Oriental foods, or if you had wasabi beans, that's most of the time how I get wasabi is in Oriental foods. If you are eating, like I was eating the other day, if you are, just a moment. I got to learn to stop doing this. I'm going to try to show you a picture of it. Well, but it's kind of ugly looking now. So maybe I won't share it with you. But if you are familiar with wasabi, it's very hot, and the wasabi beans are very hot and they're very spicy. I thought wasabi was actually a real bean that was just really, really hot and spicy. But real wasabi is very difficult to grow. It's very expensive and should be consumed within 15 minutes of being grated. But did you know that wasabi is just horseradish that's dyed green? And now when I read about that, I figured out, I said, that's why I almost don't like wasabi sometimes, because it's so spicy and it's so tangy and it's so hot. By the time it gets to my throat, I really don't want to eat it so much. But wasabi, I didn't know that. And it's just horseradish that's dyed green. And it's used in Oriental foods a lot of the time. Um, if you get a spicy shrimp roll, or any type of Chinese food like that, Oriental food, let me say like that. It's not Chinese. Oriental food, and it has horseradish in it. That's what it is. It has wasabi in it. It's just horseradish. I never knew that. Did you also know, we were talking about pineapples just a few minutes ago. Did you also know that pineapples can take up to 2 to 3 years to grow? I didn't know that either. The pineapples take such a long time to grow. It's a long process. So the next time you grab one at the grocery store, be a little empathetic and think about how far that piece of fruit has come. Not just from the location, but the length of time that it took, pardon me, to grow it. Um, Another interesting fact, food fact. Most of us as kids, we grew up on McDonald's. I don't eat very much of McDonald's foods today, excuse me, but many of us grew up eating McDonald's. But did you know that McDonald's fries, from its inception until about 1990, McDonald's fries were cooked in beef fat until 1990? I didn't know that information either. So it's interesting to find that out. Now, they changed it in 1990 in an effort to make them seem healthier. So now they're cooked in vegetable oil. But I dare say that back in the day when I was eating them as a child and as a young adult, they were very tasty. And then somebody said, oh, they changed the recipe and they're not as good anymore. So maybe that's what had happened when they switched over from animal fat, beef fat, to vegetable oil. And that was just a healthy marketing strategy that they used to make their fries tastier. Another thing, you love fruit? I love fruit. Do you like peaches and nectarines and plums and all of those things? Did you know that peaches and nectarines are essentially the exact same fruit? They are essentially the exact same fruit. The thing that makes them different, because peaches, if you get yellow peaches especially, or even the white ones, peaches aren't fuzzy, but nectarines are a little bit fuzzy. The reason why nectarines are fuzzy and peaches are not, it is because of a genetic gene that is in them. A genetic gene that's in the nectarine and also in the peach. And the gene is either dominant in peaches or recessive in nectarines. And whether it's dominant or recessive makes the determination of whether or not that fruit comes out fuzzy or smooth. Isn't that interesting? I thought, wow, all of these things that go on in the foods that we consume that we just didn't know about. I never knew there was such a thing as real fruit trees where you can have up to 6, 8 fruit growing on the same tree. And it's because they graft the branches from The lemon tree, the lime tree, the orange tree, the grapefruit tree, they graft that into the branch of the fruit tree that they want to grow the fruit on. And it takes some time for that to happen. It doesn't happen overnight, it's not a quick process. But once they become grafted together, you can grow all those various fruits on one tree. I did not know that. I was not aware of that. And I thought it would be interesting to share with you on today for my Tidbit Tuesday information. There's a couple of more here that I wanted to share with you. We did the wasabi. Cookie Monster. Cookies. Yum, 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 yum. That's Cookie Monster, right? Eating his cookies on Sesame Street. Oh my gosh, they look really like real cookies. And I've often wondered, are they really real cookies? And what's going on with that? Sesame Street Cookie Monster's cookies are actually painted rice cakes. Painted rice cakes. Now, we all know that Cookie Monster is a puppet. But did you know that the grease and the oil that cookies are made of, the grease from the chocolate and the oil in real cookies, would damage the puppets? So they had to figure out a different way to get cookies for Cookie Monster to eat. So they took a rice cake and painted it up, and it looks a real cookie. And even when it crumbles, it looks like a real cookie. So it looks like Cookie Monster is getting his groove on with the cookies, but in actuality, it's a rice cake. It is a rice cake. Another piece of interesting information. How many of you use nutmeg when you're baking? Maybe during the holiday season, you probably use it a little bit more frequently than you would in your regular dinner time, cooking, making meals, preparing foods. But did you know that nutmeg can get you high? I mean, like drug high. Nutmeg can send you over the top because it has an ingredient in it, myristicin. Myristicin, myristicin, is a compound that has hallucinatory qualities in it, and it has brutal side effects. If you ingest a gross amount of nutmeg, you could be really high in a hallucinogenic sense. So they're saying, of course, don't try it. I found it interesting that while I was doing this research, I found a lot of foods, things that I like to eat, as you've heard me talk about. You've heard me talk about popcorn. You know that I love popcorn. I eat pizza, but not so regularly as much as I used to. German chocolate, one of my absolute favorite cakes. I have it maybe twice a year for my birthday and during the holiday season. And now here we are again at nuts, one of my favorite nuts, cashews. Cashews has so very many benefits, but I never knew that cashews come from cashew apples. Who would have thunk it? I never would have. I thought that cashews being a nut grew like most other nuts did. In the ground or on a tree or something. They are on a tree, but it's a cashew apple tree. So the nut is inside the fruit. Cashew apples are edible, but better used in juices, jams, and chutney sauces. It's the flesh of the cashew apple is bitter, but you extract the nut from the inside and you just have something that's good for you. Now, I know that they're fattening. I know, but I don't eat them every day. Another benefit of eating cashews regularly for people that suffer with depression, research suggests, not only suggests, but states that if you are dealing with depression, if you eat a handful of cashews every day, it helps tremendously with your depression. And in research studies done in test groups where they gave people a handful of cashews as opposed to some other drug, the cashews gave them better results than did marketplace drugs for depression. So you see, there's so many natural things in the earth that we as human beings need to take advantage of. God has put it there for us to consume in various ways and to use them for their medicinal purposes. That's all natural, as opposed to putting chemicals and synthetic drugs in our bodies. Good afternoon or good evening. Thank you for joining the broadcast. So I would much rather do that than take chemicals. When I was diagnosed a few years ago as being pre-diabetic, my doctor immediately said, "Oh, well, we're going to have to give you a prescription." She got her pen out and everything. She said, "Well, you're pre-diabetic." So pre-diabetic doesn't mean that I'm fully diabetic. Pre means before. So before I'm fully diabetic, you're telling me that I'm pre-diabetic because of my numbers. And so I did my research. This is a sidebar of information. I did my research and I said to her when I came back, I said, "Well, you know what? I really just don't want to take the drugs." She said, "I know that, in the beginning, it might not be exact, but what we're going to do is we're going to give you this prescription and you take them. And, after 30, 60 days or so, you'll see how your body is responding to it. And then we may need to adjust your meds." I said, "Okay, and so what happens after that?" She said, "And then we'll just do another trial to see how well it's working for you or not, and we may need to adjust your meds." Okay, adjust my meds how? Well, we'll probably adjust the dosage. We're just going to start you out with like 5 milligrams. And then if that doesn't work, we'll take you up to 10. And if that doesn't work, we'll just increase it. I said, "So you're just going to make the doses larger to see if it's going to work? Isn't there another avenue that we can take?" She said, "Well, after 2 or 3 trials, if this isn't working well for you, then we'll switch meds. So you're going to keep me on one med for 30, 60 to 90 days and see if that doesn't work, if whether or not that works. And if it doesn't, then you're going to increase the dosage to see if that works. Is that what you're telling me?" "Yes, that's what we're going to do, Mr. Bose. We will do it that way." I said, "Guess what? I'm not doing it that way. I really don't want to take the chemicals." I said, "And according to my research and what I've done, I'm concerned about my own health and advocating for myself. I would much rather take the natural approach." She said, "Oh, well, what do you mean by the natural approach?" Drugs does not cure diabetes. It actually just kind of masks the symptoms, and the side effects outweigh the benefits. So no, thank you. Now, if you must write the prescription, you go right ahead. I know they told you you have to do that. So go right ahead, write the prescription, put it in my chart. Also put it in my chart that I'm refusing them. I said, "I much rather take the natural approach. I would change my diet, I would change my eating habits, and I would get regular about my exercise." So I did that. And when I came back, guess what? My numbers were down, and she wanted to know what I did. I said, "I did what I told you I was going to do. I changed my diet. I cut out, a lot of sodium. I cut out processed foods. I cut out those things that I know would drive blood pressure up. And I actively pursued my exercises on a daily basis and kept with that regimen. And so here I am. So thank you, but no thank you." So just a little sidebar, personal story there of how we can overcome so many illnesses in our bodies, so many health issues that we deal with, especially as African Americans, simply because we want the joys of consuming those things that feel good to our flesh, but they're not good for our tempo. They're not good for our tempo, and we are charged to take care of it. So if we take care of our temple, it will, in due time and season, also take care of us. So these cashews that helps with depression. Um, if you know someone that is suffering from that, uh, you might want to pass that information on, and then of course have them talk with their doctor about it. Maybe they can take a holistic approach instead of taking the chemical one. So moving on with another item, interesting food facts. Cilantro I love cilantro, the way that it smells. And coriander. I oftentimes see coriander as a ground spice or seasoning, or I see the small coriander seeds. Did you know that cilantro and coriander, fresh coriander, are the same thing? They're the same herb. I said, what you say? I did not know that. I did not know that there are just two different names to describe the same plant. There are also coriander seeds, as I mentioned, which come from the plant too, and you can find them whole or ground up into spices, which I already mentioned. The things that I didn't know. Interesting food facts. That's what we're talking about this afternoon, evening at Victoria School of Etiquette. Now this one threw me for a loop. I've never heard this one before. Peppers, like bell peppers, red, green, yellow, orange. There are other varieties and other colors. But here, when we look to get our vitamin C, good afternoon, evening. Thank you for joining the broadcast. Listen, you all say hello if you can. I can't see all the comments here on my restream screen, but you'll respond when you pop in and say hello and let me know where you are watching from. I will respond at the end of the broadcast. Did you know that we oftentimes, I know you know this already, we oftentimes get our vitamin C, we source it out from oranges, vitamin C tablets, or vitamin C chews, or now even vitamin C sprays that you can use. Anything that has vitamin C in it, that's what we're looking at. I never would have thought to look at red and green peppers as a high source of vitamin C. I didn't know that. I did not know that. Had I not done this research, I never would have found that out. Did you know that the vitamin C in red and green peppers is about 2 or 3 times as much as you might find in an orange? And it depends on the color of the pepper, which yields the highest volume of vitamin C. I didn't know that. I know that we can get vitamin C from some green leafy vegetables. I never knew that we could get them from bell peppers, red and green. Check it out. You don't have to take my word for any of this, but I am going to, in the description, I'm going to also put the link up in case you want to look this information up for yourself. Since the source that I went to get the pictures, and I went to several sources, and none of them would let me share the picture, the link, but I wanted you to have the pictures. Now, how many of you grew up on Burnham and Bailey's animal crackers? That was a childhood favorite. I grew up on them. My children grew up on them. They've been around for a very, very long time. And they came in the little red box and it says Burnham's Animals. And you typically had the lion, the tiger, the giraffe, and maybe the rhinoceros on the front of the box. And remember how the box was designed? It was red and it was yellow, and it had a line going down the middle from the top to the bottom and a line going across the side. So there were 4 little squares depicting the animals as if they were in cages. They had to change that because PETA came after them. PETA, the people's something, but they're the people that are concerned about the protection of animals being in captivity. And so they came after them. And the new box shows that the animals are no longer caged, but they are depicted as being out in the wild. And here you have the giraffe, the elephant, the king of the jungle, the chimpanzee, the ape. Those are on the front of the box, and they're just out in the wild simply because PETA said, take them out of the cage. This is a cookie box, not the real ones, but this is a cookie box. But they're concerned, and I believe this happened in 1990 or so when they made the change. It might have been sooner than that, but Nabisco had to change it because that organization came after them. So they fixed it up. And so the animals are now uncaged and free to roam about the cookie box as they please. So I'm going to end with this one, lemons and limes. Lemons and limes. Did you know that if you put lemons in water, you know this, the lemons float. But if you put a lime in a glass or a pitcher of water, that it will sink? It's all because of density. Limes are slightly denser than lemons, so hence they go straight to the bottom. And the lemons are allowed to roam free and swim around in the top because of the density. So I think this is about 19 or 20 points that I you on this afternoon, evening about food, interesting facts about food. I think one of the ones that got me the most was the fruit tree. I never knew that there was actually a real whole fruit tree, a fruit salad tree where you can grow up to 6, up to 8 different fruits on one tree at the same time. Hello, let me say hello to Grace Holden and to Mother M. Mother Marguerite Blassingame. Thank you, ladies, for watching. There are others, but those are the names that I saw that popped up. So thank you for watching and sharing this information. I hope that everyone learns something. It's very interesting. I said if I had been a teacher, my major would have been history, because I love finding out how things come about. I love finding out the backstory on things. And I thought that this was just an interesting topic to share with you. So while you're watching, if you could put in the chat for me, what was the most interesting one of the items that I talked about? What was the most interesting one to you that you found interesting? Or that it was relative to you, even somehow in your life. Good afternoon to those that are watching. Thank you for joining the broadcast. So if you can let me know that, I greatly appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it. And also, if you have some information that you would like for me to discuss on the show, or if you have a question about etiquette or about any topic whatsoever, because I say etiquette is relative to our lives every day. We practice etiquette every single day, whether we are aware of it or not. It impacts our lives positively, and in some ways it may impact our lives negatively if we are unaware that we're presenting behaviors that aren't kind, considerate, or ethical in the presence of other people. If you're not accustomed to making people feel comfortable around you, those are just 3 or 4 of the basic tenets of etiquette. And I believe, as an etiquette coach, consultant, and all of that, educator, that's part of my responsibility to share that information with you that I do. So if you have a topic that you'd like to discuss, you can email me at my email address, vset16@gmail.com. Please use the hashtag Ask the Etiquette Lady. It is in the description. It's in the bottom of the description. Ask the Etiquette Lady. I may have changed it. I may have upgraded. It'll either say Ask the Etiquette Lady or Ask Lady Etiquette. Use that hashtag and it will show up as a priority in my email, and I will see it sooner than probably I normally would, and sometimes things kind of get lost in the shuffle. So if you do that, I'd be more than happy to discuss your topic or answer your question. If you'd like for me to do it live here on the show, let me know that as well. But we will have a brief conversation prior to me going live concerning it. So I just want to thank you again for listening to these interesting food facts. And I will put the link up in the description so that you can go to that page and make the discoveries for yourself. And you can see some of this wonderful fruit that Google or Facebook, Google wouldn't allow me to share the pictures publicly. So good show, I hope, for you. as it was for me. I appreciate your love and support. And so until the next time, this is Lady Victoria signing off until we chat again. So, those of you that are chiming in late, please be kind and rewind. Until the next time, this is bye for now. God bless.